The baseline shift. The first thing an agent does isn't looking for lies, it's establishing a baseline. They ask normal, everyday questions where there is no reason to lie, like what the weather is like outside or how the drive-over was. They watch how fast you blink, how loud you talk, how much you move your hands, and how you sit when you're completely relaxed. This sets the standard for your normal behavior. The shift happens when the questions switch to the actual investigation. Suddenly, a person who is moving their hands stops completely, or a calm voice starts cracking. It is not the behavior itself that gives away a liar, but the sudden change from their normal baseline. If someone goes from talkative to quiet the second a sensitive topic is raised, the brain is shifting into survival mode, trying to mask its nervousness. Microexpressions. Microexpressions are involuntary facial expressions that flash across a person's face for a fraction of a second, usually just 1/25th of a second. They happen before the conscious brain has time to suppress them. When someone is trying to hide fear, anger, guilt, or sadness, their true emotion leaks out in a momentary twitch. An agent looks for a brief tightening of the lips, a flash of fear where the eyelids pull up, or a quick wrinkling of the nose indicating disgust. The person will immediately cover it up with a neutral face or a forced smile, but the true feeling has already escaped. You cannot consciously control these because they are triggered by the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. An agent trains their eyes to watch the corners of the mouth, catching the true emotion before the liar's mask is put back on. The fake smile.
A genuine smile is known as a Duchenne smile, and it involves two main muscle groups: the zygomatic major, which pulls the corners of the mouth up, and the orbicularis oculi, which crinkle the skin around the eyes, creating crow's feet. A fake smile only uses the mouth. When a liar tries to appear friendly, cooperative, or relaxed, they force their mouth into a smile, but their eyes remain completely dead and unchanged. The top half of the face does not match the bottom half. The brain can easily command the mouth to lie, but it is incredibly difficult to force the eye muscles to contract naturally unless the emotion is real. An agent looks at the skin around the eyes. If the mouth is smiling but the eyes are wide, cold, or expressionless, the person is masking their true intentions, manufacturing happiness or agreement to deflect suspicion. Blink rate changes. A normal person blinks about 15 to 20 times per minute when they are calm and telling the truth. When someone decides to tell a lie, their blink rate shifts dramatically in two distinct phases. First, during the act of creating and delivering the lie, the blink rate slows down significantly. The brain is working so hard to fabricate a story and monitor the interviewer's reaction that it forgets to blink. The liar might stare intently, trying to look honest. But right after the lie is spoken, the second phase hits. The tension breaks, and the blink rate spikes instantly, jumping to 40, 50, or even 60 blinks a minute. This rapid fluttering is the nervous system recovering from the stress of deception. An agent tracks this sudden deceleration and acceleration of blinking to pinpoint the exact moment a fabricated sentence left the suspect's mouth. Reverse chronology. When people tell the truth about an event, they remember it through emotional hooks and random sensory details, meaning they can easily tell the story backwards, sideways, or jumping around from the middle to the end. Liars do the opposite. They script their stories in strict chronological order, rehearsing what happened first, second, and third, so they do not contradict themselves. To break this script, an agent will ask the suspect to tell the story completely backward, starting from the moment they came home and working back to the beginning of the day. A truthful person simply reaches into their memory and reconstructs the timeline. A liar's brain instantly goes into cognitive overload. They have to reverse their fabricated script while checking it for logical flaws, which causes them to stutter, pause for long periods, or change crucial details. Linguistic distancing. Language changes when a person wants to separate themselves from a lie or a crime. One of the most common verbal signs is the drop of personal pronouns. Instead of saying, "I drove my car to the store and I saw the money," a liar might drop the word "I" entirely, saying, "drove the car to the store, saw the money." They are subconsciously trying to erase themselves from the narrative. Another form of distancing is using formal language or full names instead of contractions and nicknames. They might say, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman," instead of "I didn't do anything with her."
By using rigid, detached language, they are trying to push the lie away from their own identity. An agent listens for these sudden shifts from casual personal language to stiff sentences, which reveal the speaker's internal desire to hide their connection to the event. The reticular itch. When a person lies, their nervous system releases a chemical cocktail of adrenaline and cortisol, which causes blood pressure to rise and blood vessels to dilate. This rush of blood is particularly strong in the sensitive tissues of the face, nose, and neck, creating a subtle tingling or itching sensation. Subconsciously, their hand will move up to scratch their nose, rub their eye, pull at their shirt collar, or stroke the back of their neck. This is an involuntary reaction to the physical discomfort of deception. An agent watches for hand-to-face movements that happen immediately after a tough question is asked. A sudden cluster of face touching combined with a sensitive topic shows that the body is reacting to the stress of hiding the truth. Asymmetrical expressions. Genuine emotional expressions are almost always perfectly symmetrical, appearing equally on both sides of the face because the brain is processing a real feeling. Deceptive expressions are forced by the conscious mind, which often leads to asymmetry. If someone feels guilty but tries to look sad, the expression might pull harder on one side of their face. A classic example is the asymmetric smirk or half smile, where only one corner of the mouth pulls up during an apology. This indicates contempt or duplicity, showing that the person's internal thoughts do not match the emotion they are trying to project. An agent splits the face down the middle visually. If one side is broadcasting sorrow while the other is tight or neutral, the emotion is entirely fake. Verbal fillers and qualifiers. Liars need to buy time for their brains to manufacture a plausible answer, so they rely heavily on verbal stalls and throat-clearing qualifiers. When asked a direct question, they will repeat the question back word for word, saying, "Where was I on Friday night?" Or they will use phrases like, "To be completely honest with you," or, "Frankly, if I'm being perfectly truthful." A person who is telling the truth does not need to convince you that they are being honest. Their facts do the work. Liars use these qualifiers as a protective shield to make themselves sound credible while their mind scrambles to build the lie. An agent notes every time someone uses an unnecessary phrase to validate their own honesty, recognizing it as a verbal roadblock designed to delay the conversation until a safe answer can be found. Cognitive overload. The human brain has a limited amount of working memory. Telling the truth is easy because the brain simply recalls facts. Telling a lie requires massive cognitive effort. You must invent a realistic story, ensure it doesn't contradict your previous statements, remember everything to repeat it later, and monitor the interviewer's reactions. This causes cognitive overload. When the brain is maxed out on processing power, physical movement slows down. A liar will suddenly stop moving their limbs. Their speech will become deliberate, and they will take long pauses before answering simple questions. An agent increases this load by introducing unexpected questions or asking for hyper-specific details, forcing the liar's mental processor to stall out completely. Honest feet. While people spend time managing their facial expressions to look innocent, they completely forget about their feet. The feet are the most honest part of the body because they are deeply tied to primal survival instincts. When someone is comfortable, their feet point toward the person they are talking to. The moment a lie is told, their survival instinct screams to leave the room. As a result, their feet involuntarily shift and point toward the exit, even if their torso and face remain locked onto the interviewer. They might also pull their feet back underneath their chair or cross their ankles tightly, a behavior known as footlocking, which is a clear sign of deep psychological discomfort.